review time now. It's movie review time now. I just did a trailer reaction. Now it's movie review, but I got my sweater on because it's cold in here, y'all. It's cold. I'm not ready for winter, but you know what I'm ready for? All these movies coming out. You know I've been doing all these movie reviews because I've been watching all the ones coming out for this holiday season. And the next one, it's coming out Friday. This Friday. Tomorrow. Is tomorrow Friday? Oh, no, wait. Tomorrow's Thursday. 2 days. 2 days is Bumblebee. I saw it last night. I saw an early screening of it. And can I just start out quick 2-second review on it? I loved it. I loved it. I did. And I'm not even one to be like a Transformer fan. I've seen the other two. I've seen the first, what was the first one with that Shia LaBeouf? Didn't like it. I saw the second one and they tried to sexy it up with some Mark Wahlberg. Even though I love Mark Wahlberg, I didn't like it. I didn't. Y'all, I didn't. I thought it was just too much. It was confusing. They tried to put too much in there. And being not that much of a Transformer fan, like, hello, I mean, I grew up in that time. I know what Transformers are. I never watched any of like those cartoons that they had. I never paid attention to that. Look, I didn't. I'm more like comic. I was all in the like superheroes and stuff. Like I was that kind of girl. But I watched those two movies and I tried to like it. I did. Like I was kind of into the last Transformer. But still, so I'm going to be honest. When I went into this one, I was like, okay, another Transformer movie. Bring it. Bring it on. And I came out and I loved it. I did. So let's start by saying, I didn't find that there was too much action. You know, it was more of a story. I mean, it's called Bumblebee. And it was all about him, really. Like, the movie starts out, big action scene. I mean, it starts out, the Decepticons are fighting with the non-Decepticons. What are their names? You know, they're having like a robot apocalypse, okay? And they're kind of losing. If I would say, I'm like, oh, y'all aren't doing too good. Bumblebee, you're not doing too good. So, like, next thing you know, he's like hitting Earth, right? He's hitting Earth and not by himself. Like he hits Earth and one of those guys follow him. Okay. He hits Earth and that's what, another person in it, John Cena, the wrestler, which I was like, John Cena, but he was pretty good. I mean, he played the part. It was like an army guy and they were like doing these things in the woods, some kind of army stuff, right? And they see Bumblebee come out of the sky. They see him. They go and like think they're gonna do something to him, right? They think they're gonna like take Bumblebee. I was like, you ain't taking no Bumblebee. You ain't gonna be able to take Bumblebee. So they come up there with all his army guys being like, stop it. And then Bumblebee sees the other guy coming, like the Decepticon guy coming after him. And he warns him. He's like, Bumblebee's so sweet. He's like, get out of here. Run. He's like, run. They don't listen. They get shot up in the action. They get shot up. They get, they don't listen. But Bumblebee starts fighting with this guy, with the Decepticon guy. Like, they have an all-out battle. The guy was like, talk. What was he? Was he saying something like, tell us where Optimus Prime. He was saying something. He was saying something like, tell us this. Tell us where Optimus Prime is. Because apparently that's what they're all looking for. Optimus Prime. And he's like, I'm not going to talk. And then, because you remember the other movies? Like, they were like, the one they were trying to find his voice. But you see, like, this is a prequel. This is a prequel to those other movies. So this is like when they first come to Earth. Or when Bumblebee is the first one to come to Earth. And the guy's jams him in the neck. And he's like, well, you don't want to talk. I'm going to make you not talk. So you'll get like the backstory. You're like, oh, that's why he couldn't talk. Like in the other ones, like you're getting all this backstory. It pretty much stays in line with like the other movies as far as that, right? Bumblebee totally fights him and he wins. But he didn't come out of that fight like he was on shaky ground is all I'm saying. Like he was limping. He couldn't talk, like things were going on, zipping and zapping in his head, talking about you're gonna lose memory loss. Oh, where do I get this? That's not even what Bumblebee. He was limping, he was about to break down, and before he goes, like he falls and he sees like this beetle, the car beetle, and then it blanks out, and that's when you're like, oh, because in this movie apparently you don't just get one thing you can be. Like these Transformers can be all kind of different things. If they want to be a plane, they'll turn into a plane this minute, and a car this minute, and this minute. So they can change their forms in this movie. So the last thing he saw was like this little yellow little yellow beetle, the beetle car. And so you're like, oh, that's what he's going to be. Like, that's what he's going to change into. And because Bumblebee is always known, I know this much about it. Bumblebee is known to be a beetle. So when he was like a Camaro in the other movies, people were like, what? Camaro? Bumblebee ain't no Camaro. He's a beetle. So, but in this one, he's totally the beetle. Like he sees that he's the beetle, right? So then it goes like, and so that was like a big action scene, right from the get-go. And you're like, oh, and I was starting, I was like, it's going to be all action. So that all happened like in the first few minutes. But then he turns into this beetle and you see like he's just broke down. Memory loss too, like he don't remember things. And he's in this junkyard, and then it comes to like the girl's story. She just turned 18 and she wants a car, and she's like a mechanic and works in the junkyard, and her dad died, so she's like having all these problems. Her mom's like moved on with some other guy. Like she's just having problems, but she wants a car, and she sees this one, and she makes a deal with the guy and gets this car. Finds out, like gonna work on it. Finds out, like eventually finds out it's Bumblebee, but like the main part of the story, and Bumblebee still don't remember anything, but the main part of the story is like their relationship, which I'm just like, oh, like so many parts. I'm just like, aw. And since, I know you worry, like, oh, is this gonna drag? Is this gonna drag? Because it's not all action. Y'all know it didn't drag for me one bit. Not one bit. I'm telling y'all, even though it's like kind of sweet, the backstory with him and this girl, it was funny too. Like you think of these robots, these huge killer robots coming to Earth. She brings them up in the garage, but think of them just like in everyday life. Like there's this one part, I don't think these aren't spoilers. Like this is just telling you like little things about it, right? There's this one part, like she leaves and he's in the garage and he Bumblebee sees the dog, right? And like looks through the dog door and like wants to go inside the house. And so he gets in there and you just see this big old robot trying to like live like a human up in this house. Like this movie totally humanizes the robot, like Bumblebee, totally humanizes him. He has this friendship with the girl, this real close friendship, and they help each other. Like she's trying to help him with his memory stuff and what's going on, and he's helping her kind of like not on purpose, kind of get through the death of her father, which she still hasn't moved on from. So like that whole part, but it was entertaining. That's what I'm saying. It wasn't like, it didn't drag. Like that part was totally entertaining, and I loved, that's all the backstory. That's all the backstory part of it that you love, Yeah, so one other thing I was so surprised about is the director in this. I was like, who directed this? Is it that John Hughes guy? Because it's going back in time. Like, it's in the 80s. Like, they're wearing the 80s clothes. They're playing 80s music, which I was, like, getting down to because it brought me back some memories. I remember the 80s. I wasn't, like, a teenager in the 80s, but I remember the 80s. But also, like, the 80s music, so, like, our movies. So, like, it was all about, like, Bumblebee loved the Breakfast Club. You remember the Breakfast Club and all those John Hughes movies? Like, he was doing the thing with the Breakfast Club, like, at the end, remember, the guy was like, oh, like, that's, like, his thing. So, like, I love that part about it. All the music and the 80s stuff. It was, this movie, if I can name it in one word, this movie, it was, like, nostalgia. It was. From the robots, from Bumblebee, nostalgia, coming as the Beetle. And do you know, though, so I was saying the director I thought was that John Hughes, but no. Do you know the director is Travis Knight? Have you heard of him? First of all, I'll tell you this little tidbit about him. I interviewed him before because he I think he owns Leica Studios, and Leica is all that stop motion animation, like with the puppets. So he did like that Coralie, he did that Kubo and the 2 strings. So I went to Leica and I was covering the Kubo and the 2 strings. Is it 2 strings or 3 strings? You know, so I covered it, and that's when I interviewed him. I'm like, met him and stuff. But I think this is like his first movie that he directed that wasn't like this stop motion. He's also the son. This is how I know little tidbits about him. He's also the son of the owner of the Nike shoes, or the Nike, just Nike. He's the son. I was like, oh, that's how he owns Leica, because he's a young guy. He's a young guy. And he owns that Leica Studios and does all that stop motion. I was like, oh, that's why. He comes from the money, like that Nike money. But he's super nice guy. You can tell by that stop motion, like, you have to be on it. You have to be amazing, because he was a puppeteer too. He wasn't even just the director. He was like puppeteer in these movies with the stop motion. So I was surprised he directed this. But he made it so good. It was so good, y'all. I loved it. I don't want to give y'all too much away, because y'all still need to see this, you know. But, so they had the big action scene at the beginning. Really humanized them throughout the movie. And then they have a big action scene. So you still get your action at the end. You still get your action. Like, it's not, you know, it doesn't rip you off on non-action. Like, you still get your action. You get a big one at the beginning and big at the end, you know. But I love that. I mean, the plot was good. You know, it didn't leave me questioning anything. Like, it filled all the holes, no holes in there. And it pretty much ends where, like, the other ones pick up. Like, exactly. Someone was like, oh, I was mad in the trailer that you see Optimus Prime on Earth. And I was like, not really. I mean, you kind of know he's coming. That's not really, it doesn't give it away. You know he's coming, like it's in the other movies. He comes to Earth. Doesn't really give away anything. But this movie, I mean, it's not about that. It's about Bumblebee. It's about Bumblebee. And I know one thing, people were like, oh, I love the fact that he's the Beetle in this movie, right? I don't even understand about the car, like when he was in the Camaro and all that. But it like kind of shows that, well, how they can transform, right, into different things, not just one exact car. But even at the end, I mean, this might be a little spoiler for y'all, but whatever. Y'all know. You can't really spoil it. You know. You know from the other movies that he becomes a Camaro, but it totally shows, like, at the end, you know, he kind of goes off and he becomes a Camaro at the end. At the end he does. And it was funny because the girl was like, you could have been this Camaro the whole time, and I could have been driving a Camaro this whole time, and I was driving a Beetle. Like, you know, that was like the funny part of it. So that was funny. I mean, it had a lot of humor, which I liked. So I'm telling you, on Rotten Tomatoes, I think when I wrote it down too, I was like, because I went on Rotten Tomatoes and I was looking, oh yeah, it had like a 94%. So even on Rotten Tomatoes, it's getting high numbers. And I can see why. I'm telling you, last time, I was not excited about going into it. I wasn't. I was just like, okay. My son wanted to see it. So I brought him, like, to see it early. If he hadn't, I would have talked him out of it. I've been like, if he really didn't want to see it, I would have been like, let's not go. But I am so glad I did, because I enjoyed it. It was really good. So good. And yeah, it leaves off right where the other movies pick up, pretty much. Right where the other movies pick up. So that was my review, y'all. And like 15 minutes, I guess in like 15 minutes, yeah, I'm going to go live. I'm going to go live and talk about this, because I know my weekly thing is tonight, but I'm going to have to miss it because my daughter is giving a speech at this graduation thing. So yeah, so I'm going to go live then. So stick around and subscribe, hit the bells, hit the thumbs up, share it, all that stuff. Bye, y'all.